Welcome back to YMP Wonders. The show where we peel back the curtain on the strange, the unbelievable, and the unsettling beauty of our natural world. Today's episode takes us into the heart of the rainforest, where sunlight barely reaches the forest floor and nature hides some of its darkest secrets. Because deep in this lush, thriving ecosystem lives a creature that sounds like it was ripped straight from a horror movie. A parasitic organism that infects a living animal, takes control of its body, rewrites its behavior, and ultimately kills it. All while using that animal as a vessel to spread itself. And no, this isn't fiction. No screenplay. No Hollywood designer. This is real biology at work. Today we explore one of nature's most disturbing evolutionary wonders, Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, the fungus that literally turns insects into zombies. If you've ever wondered how far nature is willing to go to ensure survival, or if you've ever questioned how much free will animals, or even humans, really have, this is an episode you'll want to listen to all the way through. So grab your headphones, brace yourself, and step with me into the underworld of parasitic control. Meet Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, the puppet master fungus. Let's travel to the dense rainforests of Brazil, one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on the planet. Here, towering trees create a canopy that filters sunlight into thin beams. Moisture hangs in the air. Every surface is alive. Vines, mosses, insects, birds, hidden predators. And somewhere among this thriving chaos is a fungus with one evolutionary objective: to hijack another creature's body and turn it into a spore-spreading machine. Meet Ophiocordyceps unilateralis, the famed zombie ant fungus. This fungus doesn't infect just any insect. It has a very specific target: carpenter ants, particularly those that forage on rainforest floors. Why ants? Because ants live in large colonies. Their behavior is predictable. Their trails are structured, they're socially connected, and therefore perfect for spreading infection. Now here's where things get strange. When an ant encounters fungal spores, often unknowingly brushing against them while navigating leaves or tree bark, the spores cling to its exoskeleton. They then burrow through the ant's protective armor like microscopic thieves cutting into a vault. Inside, the fungus begins to grow, spreading like a slow, deliberate network of biological wires. And this is where the horror truly begins. The first signs of infection. At first, the ant behaves normally. It continues its work, carrying food, following scent trails, maintaining the colony. But gradually, subtle changes appear. The infected ant begins making mistakes, missing cues from other ants, lagging behind, moving erratically. To the colony, this ant is glitching. And then, one day, the ant simply walks away. It abandons the trail. It leaves the colony. It begins to climb. Not randomly, but purposefully, as if obeying a silent command. Scientists call this the summiting behavior. The fungus is now in complete control. The ant climbs to a very precise height, usually around 20 to 30 centimeters above the forest floor. Why this height? Because it provides the perfect temperature and humidity for fungal growth. Once the ant reaches the exact spot the fungus desires, it performs its final act. It clamps down onto a leaf or twig with a death grip, a bite so strong that even in death, the ant will remain attached. And then, the ant freezes. It is no longer an ant acting. It is an ant being acted through. The fungus now has total command of its host. the zombie takeover. How the fungus controls its victim. Now, let's look inside the ant, because this is the part that makes even veteran biologists uneasy. As the fungus spreads within the ant's body, it weaves through tissues like invasive vines. Cells are consumed. Vital organs are absorbed and replaced with fungal structures. But the brain? Here lies the twist. The fungus doesn't destroy the brain. Instead, it rewires it, manipulates it, and overrides it, like a hacker, taking over a computer. It doesn't kill the ant immediately because it needs the ant to perform a series of very specific actions that ensure the fungus's reproductive success. The ant becomes a biological puppet, a machine being controlled remotely by a force it cannot resist. Once the ant clamps onto the leaf in that death grip, the fungus begins its final and most dramatic transformation. The death blossom. Over several days, the ant's body becomes a vessel, a nutrient source for the growing fungus. Then, bursting through the back of the ant's head, a long stalk emerges. At the tip, a capsule filled with thousands upon thousands of spores. Like a macabre sprinkler system, this capsule eventually erupts, showering spores onto the forest floor and onto other ants passing below. A tiny zombie apocalypse. This cycle repeats endlessly, creating zones of infection that scientists dramatically refer to as graveyards. Areas where dozens, sometimes hundreds, of ant corpses hang frozen from leaves, all victims of the same parasitic master. It's chilling, it's fascinating, and it forces us to rethink the boundaries of life and control. The evolutionary arms race. Ant colonies are not helpless in this war. Some species have evolved the ability to detect infected individuals early, isolating them or casting them out to protect the colony. Others send undertaker ants to remove corpses before spores can spread. Nature is always adapting, always fighting back. Yet Ophiocordyceps continues to win battle after battle, generation after generation. Could it happen to humans? The science and the fear behind parasite control. This is the question that always comes up. Every biologist hears it. Every science communicator is asked it. Could a fungus ever take over humans? Let's be clear, no. This particular fungus cannot infect humans. It is exquisitely adapted to ants and ants alone. But the idea that organisms can manipulate behavior? That's not science fiction. That's established fact across the animal kingdom. Real examples of parasite mind control. Toxoplasma gondii makes rodents lose their fear of cats. Hairworms force crickets to jump into water, where the worms reproduce. Lancelet flukes change the color of snails, making them easier for birds to spot and eat. Rabies triggers aggression and biting behavior. These are real parasites with real behavioral effects. So yes, nature has already written the zombie playbook. And here's the big question. If parasites can rewrite the behavior of ants, mice, crickets, snails, what stops evolution from creating even more complex forms of manipulation in the future? This is why Ophiocordyceps fascinates neuroscientists, evolutionary biologists, and even psychologists. It forces us to confront a reality we may not be as in control of ourselves as we like to believe. Our brains are vulnerable to chemicals, hormones, microbes, trauma, suggestion, and more. We are biological machines, and machines can be influenced. The zombie fungus reminds us of that vulnerability. The final thought. So here's the haunting truth. Nature doesn't need Hollywood to imagine monsters. It creates its own. We've explored a world where a fungus hijacks an ant's body, rewires its mind, and uses it as a vehicle for its own reproduction. A real-life zombie infection, written by evolution itself. But here's the twist. The more we study organisms like Ophiocordyceps, the more we realize how astonishingly complex life is, how interconnected, how competitive, how creative. Would you survive a zombie fungus world? Or would you be one of the first infected? Tell us in the comments. And if today's journey blew your mind, hit subscribe so you never miss a single wonder, mystery, or nightmare hiding in our world. This is YMP Wonders. And remember, in nature, truth is often stranger